deep dive when appropriate with that person so that their success can be visible to others. Okay. So capture feedback when you get positive feedback from a client. Step 2, celebrate them. So interpersonally, one-on-one, amazing, great job, you're awesome, tell me more, like really take a vested interest in that. And, where appropriate, ask if you can share that. And step 3, when it's especially good, say, you know what, I'd love to do a deep dive with you on this and basically create some sort of case study.
You're listening to the 7-Figure Leap podcast. We're here to leverage rich relationships and smart strategies to take your business to the next level. Here's your host, Dustin Rieckman.
How can you make your client the hero? I'm Dustin Rieckman. Welcome back to the 7-Figure Leap. And today I want to go through a really fun case study and something that I think will be really, really instructive for you. So as you probably know, I am a story brand guide. And if you've read Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller, you'll know that one of the key concepts is that you should be the guide and your client should be the hero in the story, right? And so in the story framework, we see this played out in kind of all of our favorite stories where Luke Skywalker is the hero, right? And then he meets Yoda, and Yoda's sort of his trusty guide. And Daniel-san from Karate Kid meets Mr. Miyagi, right? And so we know that that's a great way to approach our messaging, our marketing, and even the way that we serve our clients. What I want to talk about today, though, is really how to double down on this experience of holding your client up in high esteem as the hero. And I want to go through a very specific example of how I did this recently and the success that followed. So what does it mean to be the guide? Well, it means that when you have a wonderful client and they achieve some success, you really want to highlight that and double down on that. And what you want to create is a win-win-win outcome. So your client wins in a bigger way than they've already won. You win because you're going to highlight their success and it's going to reflect back positively on you. And your audience is going to win because you're going to have a new inspiring case study to share. You're going to have new content, maybe a new experience, a new opportunity to go deeper because you're doubling down on this client hero status, right? So I did a previous episode on how to be the best case study. So whenever you're the client, how can you be the best hero to the person that you purchased the program from or learned from or coached with, right? And so I think that's a really important thing. So when you're the consumer, when you are the client, how can you use that to grow your business by being the best case study? Today, I'm going to talk about when you have amazing clients, how you can use that to help them and help you and grow your business. Now, I'm going to do a future episode on community, on how you can be the best community member to enhance the community and grow your business, right? So all of these are win-win-win relationships. So specifically in this case, where we're talking about you and your business, and you think, man, I have these amazing clients, maybe there's one in particular that stands out to you, and they just have a great success story having worked with you. The intent is not to take credit for their success. Again, you're not the hero, but it's to shine a light on them and say, look how awesome they are. And a natural thing happens when you do that. If you're instrumental to their success, they're going to reflect that light back and they're going to say, and he or she really helped me with this, right? And it's going to show people your role in their success story. So that's really what we're talking about here. So sort of step 1 is to think of a specific client that you're like, man, if I could just let everyone know what they did, I know people would be way into that and they would want to know them better and they'd want to know me better because they'd want that success for themselves. So when you encounter this, I think many of us actually encounter this way more frequently than we think. So activate that reticular activation system and be on the lookout for it, okay? And so this may come up as a private comment back to you, something that comes through on a Zoom call. It could be a comment on a LinkedIn post. It could be something that gets posted in your community. What I want you to do, though, is be cognizant of it and capture that feedback. Now, of course, you never want to share publicly feedback that was intended to be private, but in most cases, if you ask, people are going to be very generous and say, yeah, absolutely, please share this because I want to help others the way that I've been helped. So number 1, step 3, or there's 3 steps here. Number 1, capture the feedback. So you have to be looking for it and you have to capture it. So I have a whole folder, like when people leave a nice testimonial or they leave a comment on LinkedIn or someone mentions me on a podcast or whatever, I am cataloging that and just knowing that that's there. And if I need some inspiration for myself or some social proof or to show a client, hey, like this person was in the same situation, look what they said. But capturing that feedback is step one. Step two is really celebrating that win. So looking at that feedback and thinking, and having the mindset of like, that is amazing. How can I celebrate this amazing person and their accomplishment? And again, not in a way that's self-serving, in a way that credits them and just celebrates them, right? That's really the simplest way to say it. And then step three, which I want to get into with this case study, is deep dive, when appropriate, with that person so that their success can be visible to others. Okay. So capture feedback when you get positive feedback from a client. Step two, celebrate them. So interpersonally, one-on-one, amazing, great job, you're awesome, tell me more, like really take a vested interest in that. And, where appropriate, ask if you can share that. And step three, when it's especially good, say, you know what I'd love to do? I'd love to do a deep dive with you on this and basically create some sort of case study. So that's what I did recently with an amazing woman named Lashay Lewis, who in fact has been interviewed on this podcast. So I think what's important to emphasize here, this isn't like a one and done thing. You can, when you have amazing people that have had great success in working with you, you should highlight them as many times as is appropriate. So if you have a podcast, a great thing to do is invite them on, interview them, let them teach the thing they love to teach, shine that spotlight on them. And then again, naturally, they're probably going to give you some credit for that, which is great for you and your business as well. So Lashay and I go way back to January 2023. So we go back, 18 months at this point, basically. And she has posted a few different times, on LinkedIn. She made an amazing testimonial video for me about the transformation she went through when she went through our main program, the Podcast Profits Accelerator. She recently mentioned me from stage. And so these are all things without me asking, right? And really it was her mentioning me from stage that made me inspired to send her a DM on LinkedIn and say, could we do something else together? Like, I just feel like there's such a cool story here and you have an amazing story. So if you haven't heard Lashay's story, go listen to the episode. But I actually did that interview before this most recent happening. The really quick story is Lashay was in our program. She went from working 2 jobs to launching her own consultancy. She got on the Exit 5 podcast. It literally changed her life. And the relationships and the opportunities that have come from that have allowed her to grow what is now a $40,000 a month recurring revenue consultancy business on her own. And of course, quit the 2 jobs and, support her family and her 4 beautiful kids. And those, this is an amazing story that happened last year. And then most recently, I found out that she was speaking because one of my clients was there in the audience, is like taking a picture. Hey, Lashay just said your name. And I'm like, what? Like, I didn't know she was speaking. And she was at the Exit 5 business conference. And what really struck me about this whole story is it was her first airplane flight. Like, she literally left her house, went to the airport for the first time, got on a plane for the first time, landed, took an Uber, and went and spoke on this amazing stage, right? It's like, she's Superwoman. And so she is a hero and she should be a hero. And her story is so inspiring to me. And I've heard it over and over how inspiring it is to other people. And I follow her on LinkedIn and the things that she teaches and the comments she gets. I know people are just super endeared to Lashay. And so am I, right? And so I always go above and beyond trying to help her and anything I can to answer questions. Like, I just want to pour value into her because she's been such an implementer and such a doer. Like, she truly deserves this hero status. So this gets to our current case study. This person shared the feedback. I went back to Lashay and said, hey, someone sent me this photo. Like, congratulations, you're awesome. And she's like, yeah, I was nervous as all get out, but it was great. And, it's just another thing that has come from taking this leap and doing the podcast guesting thing. And I said, hey, I have an idea. And so what I want you now to think about is your ideal clients or your success stories, right? And maybe you can do the exact same thing I did or some version of it that fits best for them and for your market. But in Lashay's case, I said, hey, you've already posted about the Podcast Profits Accelerator, our program, and your experience in that. You've already sent me a case study or a testimonial video, right? Like, can we go a little deeper? And I want to make this as easy as possible for you. And that's really important here, right? Because she's the hero. I'm like, I want to celebrate your success. And if you'd be willing to do that, I'll set everything up. All I would ask is that you do a simple promotion to let people know about it. And so what we decided in about 5 minutes, was like, let's do a workshop together. So we did a very casual workshop. I spent 10 minutes in ConvertKit and put together a simple page and said, hey, come learn from Lashay and hear the story of how she built this consulting business. Right. And then I'm the co-host, and then I will share some basic teaching on podcast guesting. So you're going to hear how Lashay has used podcast guesting and it's launched this amazing business and her experience. And then I'll give you some very practical step-by-step things that you can do to replicate some version of her success in your own business, right? So a very simple 60-minute, quote unquote, webinar or workshop. And she said, yeah, that'd be great. So we settled on a date. It was about 10 days out from that time. And I put together this page. I sent it to her. The workshop's going to be on a Tuesday morning. And a little nervous because she's like, yeah, I'll share it on LinkedIn. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't know. Maybe we'll get 5 people, whatever. It's a low lift thing for me to do. And I knew it'd be great content. And so she posted on a Sunday. So I'm like, I don't know if anyone's like listening on a Sunday, but I totally underestimated Lashay's audience, right? So she posted this really cool video of her like walking down the sidewalk and talking about the investments she's made in her business and how podcast guesting has been the best thing she's done and how she's going to double down and do even more of it in 2025. So it was like a 3-minute video, but it was very, very good content. It was just Lashay being Lashay, right? She's amazing. She has just an amazing spirit. And so she posted it. We get a lot of comments. And then, in there we say, hey, if you want to learn from Lashay, kind of get a behind the scenes look, a deep dive for 60 minutes with her and me and Dustin, because she posted this, come to this workshop we're doing this week. Free workshop. Cool. So, people are starting to opt in for it. I'm like, this is cool. This is looking promising. There's a lot of interest in this. And then the day before, like in the afternoon, she posted again, just a text post. Hey, you should come to this workshop. Dustin and I are doing it tomorrow. It's free. I'm going to go through kind of step-by-step my journey of how I use podcast guesting to grow this consulting business and eventually land on the stage at this business conference. I didn't even promote it. Like I did a little bit, like I did on LinkedIn, but I don't have nearly the following that Lashay does. And so I just want to say we kept it really simple. I handled the tech, so she didn't have to think about it. She just had to like share the link that I created. And I think that's how you should do this. And so we did the simple workshop. It was 60 minutes long. It was 40 minutes of just Lashay sharing her story. And then I shared about 10, 15 minutes of practical how-tos and teaching our framework and talking about how that tied into what Lashay did to get on Exit 5. And then we answered questions. Very simple. So to give you some numbers, I gained about 150 new LinkedIn followers because when she was talking about the workshop, she was, linking to my LinkedIn profile. So that was really cool. So I got some LinkedIn followers. We got about 55 signups for the workshop. So those are 55 new email leads for me of people that, are reflective of Lashay. So probably smart people, technical people with a consultancy or coaching business, and people who are interested in the way that she did this, right? So targeted leads, in other words. And so we had about 20 people show up live. I think that's pretty typical nowadays. And we had pretty short notice, right? We only promoted this for a couple of days. And a lot of these people signed up the day of and, basically looking for a replay. That's fine. So we had 20 people on live, 55 signups. And to talk about the results from that small audience with 2 LinkedIn posts from Lashay, something we put together in less than basically a week to 10 days, we generated $50,000 in sales from that, right? These are high ticket purchases for our flagship program. And what's really cool to me about that is there's, of course, the revenue is awesome, but like the quality of people are super awesome. Like I did calls with these folks as part of kind of the end of the webinar. I basically said, hey, if you want to like see if this is a good fit for you, I'm opening up my personal calendar for the next 3 days. People book some calls. I think it was 100%. It was like pretty much everyone that booked a call. They were pretty kind of pre-sold because they're like, hey, I know what you do. I've seen what Lashay does. I'm building a thing like Lashay is building. So very high quality leads for this flagship program that we run. So we made $50,000 in new revenue. I gave Lashay a significant cut of that. I won't disclose because I didn't ask for her permission. But thousands of dollars that Lashay earned in doing this as well. And what's cool about that is it didn't take anything from Lashay, right? Like what I do has nothing It's in no competition to what Lashay does. She does consultancy for B2B SaaS companies. I do marketing and podcast guesting. So it was a very collaborative win-win thing. Like, she got some money and she endeared herself in a deeper way to her own audience. I got some money and I was endeared to her audience and grew my own following on LinkedIn and got some email leads. So we both had a financial win. We both created new content that we now have, right? So she created this video and her promotions. We've got the workshop, the recording of that, the content that can come from that. She's just a really good storyteller. And so that was some really rich content. And so that was a win for each of us. So win for me, win for her. It really did elevate her status as a hero. And it really just another way to tell her story in a really compelling way. And it was really good for her. Like I said, it was good for me and it was really good for the audience, right? Like no one was forced to enroll in my program. We gave a ton of free value. Every person that gave feedback was like, this was amazing. Whether they wanted to do a program with me or not, they got a ton of value out of it. And so that was very inspirational to many other people. So to go back, capture feedback, celebrate other people's wins that are your clients in this case, and see if you can do a deep dive and create a simple case study. In this case, a one-off workshop that she promoted and had a 5-figure payday for me and a multiple $1,000 payday for Lashay. She has no delivery, so she literally just like, cool, that was it. She has no role in the fulfillment, which is cool. She is in our community, so she will, of course, continue to correspond with these folks as they come in as an alumni. And we really, net positive. Everyone that paid attention to this promotion, everyone that attended the workshop or maybe watched the replay got a ton of value. We now have content that's going to continue to give free value to people. I grew my LinkedIn following. I'm sure she grew hers a bit as I shared what she was doing. And it's all good, right? And so I think the big takeaway here is there's so many rich opportunities, kind of these niche opportunities. If you think of your best clients, like how many people would be attracted to their story if you only amplified the story and shined the light on them and made them the hero and then let that reflection come back to you and serve your business as a result. Now, that's really the theme here is make your client the hero, you be the guide. You can create win-win-win relationships as a result. So my call to action today for you is to reflect on that. Think back over the past year, who are your best clients? Like start a top 10 list. And if you can, whittle that down to a top 3. And be paying attention to feedback. And when you capture some positive feedback from someone, don't be shy to go back and say, can we go a little deeper with this? Can I interview you on my podcast? Can we host a workshop together? I'll do all the work. All you have to do is share it and just show up and be yourself. I just ask an hour, right? And they may generate a substantial payday as a result. But even if they don't, most people love to tell their own story. It gives them great content. It elevates their status and it makes them the hero. So who can you be a hero to, or who can you make a hero out of your client list? And that would be my challenge to you today. Don't just think about it. Go talk to them, invite them into a deeper experience, and then go have a small event and see what it'll do for your business. So I'm Dustin Riekman. Again, this is what we love to do. I see the world in collaboration and partnership, whether that's podcast guesting, celebrating client success, being the best case study, serving other people's communities. There's so many ways. The world's a very abundant place. There's lots of great ways to grow your business by creating win-win-win relationships. So if you want help with that, that's what we do. So you can follow me on LinkedIn. I do post about that and help people with that all the time. And if you do want to be part of a deeper experience, come to sevenfigureleap.com, book a call with us. We can talk about how this might apply to your business, help you develop a partnership marketing strategy. And then if it makes sense, of course, I would love to work with you, just like I worked with Lashay, and maybe have you on my podcast and highlight you as the next great case study. So until next time, I am Dustin Riekman and looking forward to serving you and being part of your 7-Figure Leap.